Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ocean Observers. We are back with another episode, and this time our topic is aquatic.
We've been looking into ecology studies and are trying to pinpoint the biggest issues. We think we may have found the overlooked unknown. Some of you science explorers may not even be familiar with this topic.
Did you know that 90% of coral reefs worldwide will disappear or go extinct by 2050 if we do not change something now? Yes, you heard that right. And today we're going to explore how we can change this, specifically looking at Pacific Ocean corals and the infamous coral triangle.
Interesting topic today.
I know, right? I feel like people don't really talk about this.
Well, I think there's a theme here of mystery, like people don't actually know how beneficial these corals are. Before studying science at SU, I kind of thought corals were like rocks and not living.
I see where you got that. They do kind of seem like rocks.
They really do. But now that I'm educated, I'm going to tell you all about what I learned.
Go for it.
Unfortunately, this is very, very scary for our planet.
I don't think coral impacts us that much as a planet. I mean, I did the research for solutions to this issue, but I don't see the issue with the coral disappearing.
Well, clearly, first we need to talk about how crucial coral is to our ecosystem. Coral provides homes for about 25% of fish population worldwide. To put that into perspective, fish are around 18% of the meat humans eat around the globe. Strikingly, more severe in island nations with up to 90% of animal protein coming from fish.
Right?
So corals house around 6% of the meat we eat annually, way more than 6% if you look down the food chain. That's the meat and protein for over 480 million people. That's enough protein for more than the entire U.S.
These are scary numbers. We also have to think about food webs. Without 25% of fish, many smaller fish would be wiped out. That would starve bigger fish and totally crush the ocean's symbiotic relationship.
Yes, totally, and that's not all. Over 1 billion people globally rely on the ocean economy. Economies in fishing towns suffer the most, with between 50 to 90% of money in fishing towns coming from profiting off the ocean.
Okay, I need to pause the podcast here and do some more research because clearly I am unprepared. Okay, so we really did stop the podcast there to gather more information on this topic, and now I feel ready.
I have been ready clearly, but let's keep rolling.
Before you were just talking about fishing towns benefiting from corals, and after my research, I am thinking about medicine, like cures to cancer or arthritis, or even the ocean's balance and carbon systems. The ocean is such a powerful source of life with so much to offer, and without coral, none of this would be possible.
So now that you and our audience understand why coral is important, we can discuss what's happening to them. Coral are very living organisms, even though they look unassuming. Corals have algae living inside of them. This algae provides the corals food, energy, and even color using photosynthesis. When the corals get what is known as stressed, through drop or increase of temperature, even by only 7 or 8 degrees, or high pollution levels, the coral expels the algae. Stressed corals quickly become weak and are unable to benefit the surrounding ecosystem. This is also what causes the coral to turn white, hence the name coral bleaching.
Wow, only a few. It really doesn't take that much.
I know, right? And that's not the end of it. Since corals and algae are dependent on each other, not only does the coral need the algae to eat and survive, but the algae needs the coral. This is because the coral provides a safe home for the algae that's protected from predators. The coral also contains CO2 that the algae needs for photosynthesis, as well as nutrients like nitrogen and the coral's waste and sunlight.
So, the algae and the corals clearly need each other to thrive.
That's right. But this goes even deeper than that, as many algae directly and indirectly benefit 99% of the ocean's organisms. This goes as well for the coral's relationship with filter feeders, which have a similar relationship.
Okay, so, while you've been talking, I've just pulled up some statistics for us, so you can see how horrible you are. I'm joking, but really, I just want everyone listening to see why we've got to change our planet.
Good point. I'll take a listen.
I'm going to quote oceanservice.gov. In 2005, the U.S. lost half its coral reefs in the Caribbean in 1 year due to a massive bleaching event.
Whoa, 50%.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yes, truly. Some coral can survive being stressed, not to mention, so not all coral impacted were fully lost or died, but still hurt.
That means only many more may be damaged in the Caribbean, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, we may be doomed.
Just listen, it gets worse. According to Science Direct, in the Florida Keys, water dropped minus 6.7 degrees Celsius lower than that of the typical temperatures at that time of year. This also caused a stressing event where many corals were bleached and died.
I see, but how do we change events like that if the water got colder?
Sometimes we can't affect the coral bleaching events since some occur naturally, but this only makes it more important to not cause more. In that case, a weather event called a cold snap took place, which dramatically changed the ocean's temperature. The impact of this event caused coral deaths, coral reproduction decline, biodiversity decline, and economic impacts. This single coral bleaching event did so much damage to our ocean, and it is only one of many.
This is way bad, but you can't have all the fun. I'm sharing one.
Okay, go for it.
Since 2014 to 2017 was an unprecedented period of successive record-breaking hot years. It coincided with the most severe, widespread, and longest-lasting global-scale coral bleaching event ever recorded. The event resulted in a very high coral mortality on many reefs, rapid deterioration of reef structures, and far-reaching environmental impacts.
Okay, I'll give it to you. That was a good one. That shows how humans are impacting the reefs because we know the record-breaking years come from us.
Yeah, I have just the quote for that too. According to the International Panel on Climate Change, human activities are responsible for virtually all of the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere over the last 150 years.
Okay, now you guys may be getting bored of hearing about the problems, impacts, and evidence of such. We're going to give you some light at the end of the tunnel and discuss solutions.
Yay, my favorite.
For sure.
There are 5 main solutions for coral bleaching.
Okay, here we go.
There's reducing global warming, feeding corals heat-tolerant algae, training corals using controlled heat, breeding more heat-tolerant corals, and last but not least, moving in heat-resilient corals. Now, the first option is the easiest, reducing global warming. This would lower ocean temperatures. However, we have struggled with this for centuries. I want everyone listening to know it is still possible to turn it around if we start fighting now. Using less electricity, recycling, wasting less food, and big companies working toward low-emission solutions can all significantly reduce and reverse global warming. It can be as simple as turning off the lights, driving on eco, putting cans in the recycle bin, or even eating that one slightly brown banana.
I call option 2. Feeding corals heat-tolerant algae. I'm going to botch these algae names, so be warned. Corals typically live in zooxanthellae, which have a generally low resistance to heat. Heat-tolerant coral algae, such as Durusinium trenchiae, will not expel the coral even when the times are tough and the heat is high. Scientists could try mass breeding these algae with the right funding and dumping the algae over the corals.
Okay, option 3, training corals using controlled heat. This involves slowly bringing up water temp in a controlled zone. Over time, this would build up the coral's heat tolerance. The simplest similar example to this would be drinking tolerance, but for the water temperature. Scientists could heat areas using heaters in tanks or temperature flow systems. However, this would be super expensive and expansive as corals span 110,000 square miles, which is about twice the size of Florida.
Option 4 and 5 go together. This is a process of breeding more heat-tolerant coral and then moving in more heat-resilient corals. This would work by scientists selectively finding heat-resistant corals and breeding the strongest ones of them. They would pair this with growing the corals in warmer water so they can better survive heat stress. Then they would move the corals into the areas with the weak coral to encourage natural breeding, making new, stronger corals. This solution would be amazing for the ocean and show a measurable result. However, it is very expensive, time-consuming, and difficult to act out. A project like this would also cost billions of dollars.
So overall, you can see there are many solutions and ways we can all help corals.
We believe that the best way to solve this would be to reduce climate change.
As we stated earlier, the simplest things can reduce climate change and stop global warming.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our episode, Ocean Observers, and learning all about coral.
As we end this episode, we hope you guys feel compelled and called to reduce your climate footprint. This would really benefit our corals, our oceans, and our planet massively, as everything is connected.
Let's try to end coral bleaching together. On a positive note, the hint for the next episode is Lululemon.
Ooh, good one.
See you next time. Ocean Observers out.